This is Radio Now 95.3 FM. Come for the news, stay for informed conversations.
Hello and welcome to News Extra here on Radio Now 95.3 FM Lagos. I'm Nabila Usman here with my co-host Stephen Imediegu. The United States of America, Saudi Arabia, the United Arab Emirates and Egypt have called for a 3-month-long humanitarian ceasefire in Sudan. It's part of a long process to return the war-torn country back to peace and a civilian-led government. Sudan has been in the midst of a civil war since April of 2023 when fighting broke out between the country's armed forces and the paramilitary Rapid Support Forces. Since then, the death toll estimates put it on a conservative level at about 15,000 people, while on the higher end, up to 60,000 people have been reported by some sources. Our conversation this morning explores where the peace process has been after multiple attempts by the mediators to get both sides to agree to a ceasefire. Saheed Abdalla, who is a Sudanese journalist based currently in South Africa, joins us on this conversation. Hello, Mr. Abdalla. Thank you for joining us.
Good morning, and thank you for having me.
Fantastic to have you. Let's talk about this humanitarian ceasefire. As we understand it, the mediators are saying that there's no possible military solution to the conflict. Speak to us about the proposal for the humanitarian ceasefire. What does it entail?
Certainly, the Sudanese crisis started since the April 2023, this war. I think we have more than 14 million people displaced internally and as also in the neighboring countries. And also we have destruction of infrastructure. There's a lot of community was affected by cholera, by disease, and also there's the healthcare facilities are no longer working and in a lot of places. So all these factors have significantly affected the Sudanese communities and the people on the ground there. So, and the war, it's been now like for more than 2.5 years, almost 2.5 years. I mean. So all these factors, it's an urgent crisis that needs to be dealt with. And from what we saw on this conflict, is the military solution is no longer going to be valid. We should look for other alternative solutions to this war because it's only getting worse and not getting better.
So, Mr. Abdalla, part of the reporting on this particular conversation, of course, it says that mediators from the United States, the Saudi Arabia, the United Arab Emirates, and so on are working to ensure a peace in the region. But there have been accusations about the role that they play as not just mediators, but particularly accusations around which mediator is supplying which side what arms. I wonder if that is in any way stalling the process of getting to a ceasefire.
I think in every war there are two factors: the internal factor and the external factor. And I think when we talk about this statement or report that we saw from the United States, from the Saudi Arabia, from the United Arab Emirates and Egypt, known as the Quad, it's these are the stakeholders. And I think if you look at the Emirates role, it's the country that supports the RSF. But remember also the SAF, which is the Sudanese Armed Forces, they have their own external support as well, which is Egypt. So for this to speak to the root of this war, you need to bring all these countries to get to a deal or to get to a form of peace agreement or a form of interest between them. That's as an external factor. And the internal factor, you need to unite this the civilian the civilian representative and the political forces all together to get to a deal that between them, and then you can later have a political path that can move the country from this conflict to a new peace resolution. Talking about this Quad statement or Quad roadmap, I think it's only they call it as a plan, and this plan, I think it's including this humanitarian truce. It's then a permanent ceasefire, then a 9 month transition to a civilian role. This it sounds like can be like a great solution for now, but a lot more needs to be done from all these actors, whether it's inside the country, like the internal forces, or from the international community as well.
So, of course, it's not the first ceasefire that's been discussed or attempts at mediating it, right? I would like to know the Sudanese Armed Forces, the RSF, what has their response been to this latest proposal? And, what makes it different that would probably encourage them to accept it?
For me, since yesterday we saw different responses from all these political actors inside the country. But if you look at the Sudanese Armed Forces response, they were stated very clear that they are the one who representing the country. They are the government of the de facto or the legitimate government of the country, and they should be also. It should be 4 countries plus Sudan. That's what they said. But the statement also, it's in some way that they are trying to say, like, we agree to some of this what you be mentioned about this solution, but we have some concern, or we have some concerns about certain points. From the RSF, I think they also like they say, like, it sounds like for them there are sort of acceptance for this roadmap, but there's also other political factors. You can find the civilian actors, the democratic civilian actors. They said, like, they welcome the statement. They think it can move the country to a new era. There's other the Islamic the previous regime of Al Bashir. Parties, they said, like, they totally against this statement. So it's been like, there's a lot of responses to this statement, but for now I think it's what we need to do is it should be a bit of consensus between these political factors inside the countries to get to a point where it's what's the baseline that we can build on in order to stop the war and get the humanitarian aid, and then we can have a political solution.
So, I mean, worth mentioning here that this has been described as the world's forgotten humanitarian crisis. And I think there are two voices here that are notably absent. First, we still don't know where the AU is in terms of this mediation, what sort of voice they have, but also the other countries that have been receiving displaced Sudanese. So, of course, Egypt is a part of it. And so far, I believe that they've got the largest number, but Chad is a close number, somewhere between around 1.2 million people or so. You also think about South Sudan, Ethiopia, Uganda. How come we're not hearing these countries as part of the process around mediation?
Sure. It's since the war started in 2023 till now, it's been a lot of efforts of mediation, whether it comes from the Quad, or it comes from the AU, it came from the UN itself, it came from the IGAD, and it came from different actors, and also all of these efforts, to some extent, as some journalists said, there's shifting of legs, but there's no movement. There was not movement to actual peace resolution, or to actual ceasefire. But what we saw from these countries, these 4 countries, this is the first time they have agreed to this point and came out from the statement. The AU is planning to have a dialogue between the Sudanese civilian forces. I think it's going to be in October next month, and that's where they want to just bring all these civilian the civilian forces from different affiliation to just to come and to get to at least an agreement. The Chad role also played a significant role during the talk in Egypt with about the neighbors from Sudan. But still, this cannot be the only effort that can solve the problem. I mean, the Quad effort. It should be synchronized with the AU effort, and as well as with the IGAD effort. It should be all together. We cannot have a shop forming, a form shopping. I mean, like that every few countries or every institution that want to just find it's to be the only one that to find a solution for the Sudanese. As I mentioned, there's two factors: the internal factor, that's they need to get to a point where they to agree to a baseline, and there's the external factor. Also, you need to be a united effort to just to solve the issue in Sudan, the war in Sudan. I mean.
Mr. Abdalla, thank you very much for your time on this conversation. We appreciate you.
Thank you so much.
Saheed Abdalla is a Sudanese-born journalist based in South Africa who joined us to speak on News Extra. We were speaking on the efforts by the United States, Saudi Arabia, Egypt, and the United Arab Emirates towards reaching a ceasefire for the war in Sudan that has been running since April of 2023. That's News Extra here on Radio Now 95.3 FM Lagos, your Beyond the News station. We urge you to stay tuned. In a few short moments, we'll turn to look at the front pages of the dailies on the News Review.
This is Radio Now 95.3 FM. Come for the news, stay for informed conversations.